Hi, CvCISO podcast listeners. Welcome to episode 58 of the CvCISO podcast. My name is Evan Francine, in case you didn't know that. But you're tired of my voice. I got Jordan and Dave here with me. What's up,
We're going to
guys?
talk really fast on this podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, are we? Okay, what do you got?
We're going to go at 1.25 speed.
So if you're used to listening to this podcast at 1.5 speed right now, if we're talking at 1.25 speed and you put the 1.5 speed with the 1.25 speed, you're probably at about 3 speed. So you might want to slow this down a little bit.
Slow.
And then it can sound like
We should do a podcast like this, just variable speeds the whole time. So
Which is what I sound like anyway.
Yeah. Because, you know, like they're in their car and like they usually listen to podcasts at like 1.5. But if you're talking really fast, they're like, oh my God, okay.
Slow it down.
Maybe my brain's not working. So I slow it down to like 1. And then we switch to like.
All day long, we think about ways to mess with our listeners.
All 3 of them. I couldn't help myself. We're a little finicky today, man. We always do these talks before we kick off the podcast where we're just shooting the breeze, you know, talking about things, talking about life things. That's one of my favorite things about these things, by the way, is the Friday morning when we just get to catch up and just, you know.
Yeah.
But if people, we do have to do some recordings of those like outtakes because I think people would find them really funny, probably offensive too.
Yeah. I mean, do they really want to hear us talk about farts?
Farts
on airplanes.
Farts in the month of July and stranding your daughter in a foreign country. Yeah. If that's not intriguing enough for you, stay tuned next week.
Tell you what, if we get 100 likes on this episode.
Where do they do the likes? I don't even know where the likes go.
On
Where do they click?
YouTube.
Oh, there's the tubes?
100 likes. Then we will record and we'll talk about farts.
Okay.
And Evan will be shirtless.
Oh, nice. No, that's not going to get us 100 likes. We'll get 100 dislikes for that.
Someone just unliked.
Yeah.
Oh.
And they're removing other people's likes. How does this work? All right. What's the topic for our podcast? Because we are professionals and we're quite good at what we do. So I've been told.
Yeah. Yeah. It's my topic. I wanted to talk about pricing models. Like, you know, really the discussion I want to get into, I don't want to get all boring with it. If we title this podcast, How to Price Your vCISO Services, I'm going to barf.
Okay. What should we?
I had written
What
down,
title do you suggest?
Yeah. I had written down hourly
Do you
work
like your own fart smell?
Sorry, Dave. Dave's like trying to get serious and we're over here like laughing.
Just trying to get one sentence out.
Come on, Dave. You can do it. Go right. Talk fast. 1.5 speed. Let's go.
3, 2, 1. I had written down that we would call it hourly work or objective-based differences.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I want. That is kind of the specific thing.
Well, Jordan, let's clear this. Let's just get this straight. Would that be a barfless title for you? Okay. It's not a barfless title, Dave. We got to put that back.
No, it's good. It's good. It's
Okay.
good. I didn't mean to barf on your
Open
title.
for review.
We are debarfed.
And we lost all of our listeners because no one wants to hear me talk about barf.
No, I mean, what? Are they above barfing? Sorry if you're so good that you don't barf.
Everyone
I barfed
barfs.
once.
You know, it'd be a neat social experiment is we keep the same topic, but just title it farting on an airplane and see if we get more views.
Then we would remember what episode that was. We'd be like, oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
We should do another podcast just of this stuff, just of us just talking about stupid shit that guys talk about when you leave us alone.
But you're right. You know, so like which way of pricing is the worst smelling fart? That's how we'll rate it. We'll figure out. We'll rate them based on fart smell.
And what are our options on the pricing?
All right. Actually, okay. Yeah. Let's dive into this.
Let's just get serious.
Question. Here's my question to set this up. Maybe I'll get some other questions, but I know in the course and through other, like I think when John Harmon shared some a presentation with us on selling vCISO services, it seemed like the general idea is to not do hourly pricing, to do objective-based pricing or recurring service pricing. And And I've been in a couple situations recently where it seems like there is a lot of shift, actually, especially coming from my experience in the MSP world, where recurring services was all the rage and doing like an all-in-one, all-you-can-eat price. But even over the course of maybe even 10 years, I would hear different like opinions on going back to maybe block hours or like kind of getting back to an hourly thing. And so I wanted to just kind of talk about that. Like, is there a place for hourly services? How is there a mix or a hybrid that we can do? Like, what's the advantages of each one? And just kind of share some insights on that.
Enroll in the class. I will
What?
tell you.
In enroll in the class?
Yeah, the CvCISO 1 class. Next cohort starts July, I think. I don't know.
Something.
Dave does those things. Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're listening to this and you're not a CvCISO, then come on,
Yeah.
where you at? This is what we're talking about.
Well, I mean, you can do both. At the end of the day, you want to give the customer the most control they can. I mean, they're paying for it. So what do they feel comfortable with? I suggest not going towards the hourly base because the customer takes on all the risk.
Right.
You're putting the value into the number of hours. You're not putting the value into what's actually getting done. I would rather, like for me as a customer, if I was a customer, I want to know what I'm getting for the money. To me, there's no value in hours. Hours is actually a liability. I want less hours to get more done. That's the most efficient way to do business. So if I'm paying you for hours, there's a couple of things that happen. One, I take on all the risk because you're incented as my provider to take as long as possible to get this work done. Not saying you're going to do that, but that's the incentive. That's the monetary incentive. So if you could have gotten this project done in 3 hours, but you took 10, and I don't know any different, I just lost out on 7 hours of value, whatever that is, and tie a dollar amount to it or whatever. Plus, I don't know if those hours are the hours I'm supposed to be spending. Like when I'm hiring a vCISO, what I'm hiring is expertise, leadership, information security leadership. So I'm looking to you to tell me or suggest to me as your customer what I should do next. Not I have to go to you and say, I think I need a pen test. How many hours do I have left? Or, you know what I mean? So you remove the leadership position, which is one half of what a vCISO does. I consult you to make good information security risk decisions. I don't consult you on how to spend your hours. Those are two different things.
Yeah. Do you think, people that maybe are in the camp of billing hourly, number one, I can see it, from if you're not necessarily looking at it from the client's perspective and you're bad at predicting how many hours are going to go into something. I can tell, I can see where like a vCISO or whatever work someone's doing, where it's like, I need to make sure that that I'm getting a certain amount per hour, and I can't seem to predict, what my hour, how many hours I'm going to put into this objective based thing. I mean, I know I see that a lot on the MSP side where you start losing margin because you're bad at predicting, or you don't really know what you're getting when you go into the client's thing, and all of a sudden it spins out of control, and now what
So
you thought would take 10
that
hours.
how is that the customer's problem?
Right.
My inability to do my business and to run my business is not my customer's problem. So as the MSP, learn how to do the work.
Right.
And if you suck at estimating how many hours you think it's going to take, and really it's not hours. You suck at understanding your expenses that go into your deliveries. One of those, and probably one of your biggest expenses, would be personnel, which you might track that by hours or you might track that by whatever. Because you suck. I mean, if anything, that should be a wake-up call. Like, we got to figure out how to do this better.
Yeah.
We're trying to offer services to customers that we don't know how to do.
Yeah. And before you even get to like an hourly estimation, we want to look at where the client's at, understand their scenario, what their needs are. If it's someone saying, hi, can you tell me what an information security program is? Because that's where I'm at. It's going to give you insight as to the size of the lift that both sides are agreeing into. And you can, if you understand that, it can give you some insight, regardless of what's shared with the client or the prospect. Being able to understand roughly the size of the lift, the size of the organization, what they're bound by. I mean, if someone comes in and says, hey, I just found out I got to deal with CMMC and I got 2 months,
I just barfed.
you know, yeah, that'll give you gas on an airplane, but it'll give you, because really part of the magic in it, in your mind, is you want to look at what is the scope of the engagement. And by scope is what you're delivering on, and also over how long of an engagement this is. Is it going to be 1 year? Is it going to be 3 years? Because if you, as we map that out, then we can know some months are going to suck on our end. We're just going to have to bite the bullet. But then there's going to be some other months where there isn't as much of a need, and there may be more of a heavy lift up front. And so you're almost looking at all of those elements and then kind of amortizing it out over that. And that will give you, that kind of steers it, because the challenge in my mind, even when I was doing this on behalf of FR Secures, my company, or when I was doing it, was when you make it hourly, you just became a commodity, and you're a line item of what you cost, and you can potentially come back and go, well, it was 20 hours this month and nobody saw that coming. Versus, just if we do this over the period of time, we can get you where you need to be. We can budget for it and manage it that way, and everybody wins. Because when you say, okay, X amount per hour, there's going to be somebody that says, well, I bet we can find somebody for less.
Excuse me, my cough.
And you've just kind of derailed what the spirit of what we're trying to accomplish is.
Well, and you also take away like the value that I provide in my level of expertise, right? My hourly rate, if you wanted to pay me hourly, is $450 an hour. So who the hell's going to, shit. Okay. But I can get twice or 3 times the work done than somebody you paying $125 an hour. And so I can get it done faster, probably better in a shorter period of time, right? And hourly, I cost more. At the end of the day, what you got for your dollars is a better product and a faster delivery. So it's like you take out all those competitive things, and truthfully, from an FR Secure perspective, killing it on the vCISO practice, this is how they do it. And that's the frustrating thing, is like when you go and tell MSPs, hey, you want to be successful as a vCISO? Like, we know it, because obviously, look at the business here, just do these things. And over and over and over again, the MSPs are like, we're going to do it our way. Okay. It's not going to work. It will work on a one-off exception type basis. But if you want to run a vCISO practice, you want to grow it, you want it to scale, this is the way to do it. Now, we cover it in the class that you could do objectives based, you could do hourly based, but it's mostly, but then we're really clear in the class, like objectives based is the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
There's the most value in it for the customer. When you're talking about a vCISO practice, there's so much in the relationship between you and the customer. And the customer knows that you have their best interests in mind. It also insulates you from, it becomes a long-term contract where it insulates from competition. We don't lose customers to our and on our vCISO practice because it's a 2-3 year potential engagement. And they wouldn't sign up for a 2 or 3 year engagement unless they really trusted you.
Right.
You know what I mean? and also from a business perspective, MSPs, you hear them say, well, it's some months are hard, some months are good. That's because you don't have monthly recurring revenue.
Mm-hmm.
The healthiest way to scale a business and grow a business is monthly recurring revenue. It takes the lumpiness out of it, puts the predictability into your financials. So like, why wouldn't I, if it's in the best interest of the customer, hands down, right? We could go toe to toe and compare each, I guess, characteristic. It's in the best interest of the customer to do objective-based pricing. And it's what's healthiest for my business long-term. Why the hell would I ever go hourly? It doesn't make any damn sense.
So you know some MSPs that haven't embraced the idea of making it a recurring services?
Well, yeah. Yeah, a lot of them, they fall back to the, because we've always done it the hourly way. And I think a lot of times the MSPs just don't know what the hell they're doing. So that's like, well, let's just default to the shit that we've always done. I think a lot of them are old school and they don't want to think of new ways to do things, but they also see that their business is dying because of it.
Let me ask a different side of this too, because I want to get to a different idea, but I also want to ask, like, so from the client's perspective, I mean, have you run into clients that where hourly clicks better for them? Like they maybe don't trust that, they might look at a recurring service or like a project based, like an objective based quote for a project or something. They might look at that and go, well, I'm paying a lot of money for something that's probably only going to take you 5 hours or something like that. And do you find that you ever run into prospects or clients that are like, what, hourly just makes more sense to me? I understand that it might, there might be some nuance to it, but I'm more comfortable understanding that I get you for an hour and I'm paying for an hour and it just makes logical sense. Do you find that comes up at all?
So I could just sit here for an hour and you're just going to pay me for that? That's okay. If you insist on doing that, fine.
I mean, I'm not saying that it actually,
I'll just
some
sit here
people
for,
just kind of think like that. Like, you're trying to
I'll
sell
just
to a plumber and the plumber's like, well, I understand hourly.
I'll just sit here for an hour and you don't have to pay for it. But if you insist on paying, all right, let's do it. How you doing?
There was
me.
a quote on LinkedIn that said, what does it say? Billing hourly for CvCISO work is like an airplane pilot charging by the mile.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Price the impact.
So yes, we've had clients, and Dave can speak to this too. We've had clients that have had that mentality, but it's part of my job. I don't ever want to sell you, even if a customer begs for it, I'm not going to sell you a service that doesn't provide value to you. I won't do it. So if you insist on paying me, 5 hours a month to do nothing, I won't do it. Thank you. But if you can, I would rather say, all right, for the same amount of money, here are the things that I'm going to accomplish for you on a monthly basis. Are these valuable to you? Yeah, those are valuable. Okay, let's go about it that way. Then I'm just going to pay you. And that's a frustrating thing. This is another reason why I don't like the lawyer profession, the legal profession, because a lot of them work hourly.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's this hourly rate, and they bill you for every damn hour.
Right.
Like you called me today.
Right.
Yeah, I was just seeing if you want to go out to lunch. Well, that's $150. What?
To talk about going to lunch.
Yeah, and I was going to pay anyway. So like, this is so stupid.
Yeah, it's like you sit down with them and the first 10 minutes they're asking you about your family, and it's like, dude, let's get to the point. I'm paying for this. I'm paying for your small talk.
Right. So and I condemn the legal profession for working that way. You should be doing objective based. You should tell me up front. You should be good enough at your job to be able to understand what variables might come into play and give me a quote to protect, for this case. You know what I mean? And give me options like, well, if we settle out of court, it might be this much. If you decide to go, to trial, it's this much. You know what I mean? And then I'll just
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take the $10,000 deal to go to trial because then I can budget for it. And I would expect you, being the professional that you are, that you would be able to tell me. And yeah, sometimes that's the nature of the beast. Some projects, from a service provider standpoint, we lose money on, and some you make a lot of money on. But you understand your business well enough, you understand your services well enough, you understand the market well enough to be able to weigh all of that out and carry a nice margin to make a healthy business without ever taking advantage of a single customer.
Yeah.
Because even if I made a 90% margin on you as my customer on this thing, I still provided a product of value that was worth it. I was just really efficient in creating it and giving it to you.
Mm-hmm.
But I still sleep well at night knowing that I didn't take advantage of you. I didn't oversell. And people think that, like, well, if I do hours, it protects me from somebody gouging me because they have to account for the hours. If you understand, do you really think that's true? People pad their hours all the flipping time. I was hourly back when I worked for an MSP back in the 90s. And they would tell us, all right, we need you to bill, 30 hours a week, 40 hours a week, whatever it was. And it was always based on, like, we need more cash in the door kind of thing or something. And so like, oh shit, I'm only at 27 and it's Friday afternoon. Well, I did do that one thing back on Tuesday let's tack on 3 hours to that. I mean, it's like behind the scenes, that's what's actually work.
Yeah. Let me just
happen.
round up.
And customers are like, they don't know anything about it
Right.
because MSPs aren't going to be honest and tell you.
Like, Evan, why'd you solve that so fast? Slow down.
Yeah.
I need
Well,
you to be worse at your
Jordan,
job.
what I was going to say is that I haven't really spoken with the client that said, I want this to be hourly. But I have had the conversation of, why am I here? Where do you see me being here adding value to what we're trying to do? And there has been a respectable amount of times where the client was like, you're our sanity check. I only need an hour a month. I don't need, or an hour a quarter, whatever. But just so you knew the scope of what you were getting into was that, and then you could price that accordingly. So, because with those, a lot of times there wasn't much homework I would take from the call. I would go in, they would tell you in advance, this is what I want to cover, or you hop in and they go, hey, look, department A over here is working on a potential acquisition. Can we just almost tabletop walk through what we need to know to be able to tell? And they don't want you at a greater capacity. They just want that. And then you can price that accordingly. That has happened. And the other thing, before I forget it, because I know that I will, what you were saying, Evan, about, those professional services being hourly based and how it's nasty. I mean, imagine you're going through a divorce or a probate, something that's very emotionally draining. And they go, well, there's another, this is going to hit you in the wallet,
Right.
Real estate is subjective based.
Yeah. I think everything, as much as you can, should be objective based because it makes the client make an educated decision. Is this outcome worth this amount of money to me?
Yeah. I want to sell my house. This is the commission, and I'm expecting you to do whatever it takes to get this over the finish line.
Yeah, because there's no value in hours. All right. It's worth, I want 10 hours of Evan's time. To do what?
Including all the squirrels that you chase. And
I mean, it's my time ain't worth shit. It's what I do with my time that's worth shit. And if you focus my time on providing value to you, it's the value that you want, not my time. The only time I've actually been forced to work hourly is when I am doing legal work. when,
Yeah, because you fall within that
I have to.
paradigm of
Yeah. They're like, yeah, they'll say, because the last one was, and I always turn it back on them. They're like, so what's your hourly rate? And I'm like, what's yours? They're like, well, it's this. I'm like, well, that's mine too then.
That sounds good.
I mean,
yeah. It's that
unless you think
plus
I'm worth less
10%.
than you, then tell me that, I guess. And they all do because they're lawyers, but you know,
One thing, like, so as an MSP, and we have a lot of recurring, like, all you can eat type agreements, and my approach has always been, because there's a lot of people in our industry that do get nervous about it, like business owners, MSP owners, where it's kind of like, oh man, we're not, this client is so needy, like we're not, making any money on them, they're like, we spend so much time on them that this contract isn't worth what it is. And so then I start thinking, like, if we just need to do hourly, like we can't do this, we have to hourly. And
again, that's a reflection of your shitty business. I
right.
mean,
And
I
so
hate to be honest, but that's what it is. Because you need to, any customer, any relationship, you have to set boundaries. This is what I'm doing for this. And when customers ask you to do something that's outside of those boundaries, I'll be happy to do it. I'm going to have to charge you for that.
right.
Because I'll remind you that I have a business to run just like you have a business to run. And I'm really, really good at the shit I do. And I'm fulfilling all my promises. I'm holding up my end of the bargain. I need you to do the same. And you'll find that your needy clients become a lot less needy then, because they don't even recognize, most of them, that they're doing that. And if you don't tell them, they'll just keep doing it. And then you're all pissed off at the client, because all the project creep, but you never said anything. You know what I mean? It's like, they will probably pay you more because they keep calling you because they like you or they trust you. And you're like, okay, let's just adjust the contract. Let's accommodate this neediness that you have. Raise it from $2,000 a month to $3,000 a month, and then we're all good. All right, it sounds good. Let's do it. But a lot of people don't even talk about it.
Yeah, that's the exact direction I was going to go with it. Like for me, we want to have quarterly reviews with our clients, and we want we kind of, I want to say we require, but we don't necessarily require, but like that the business leadership is there at least once a year. And I've always kind of been on in the camp, just like you're saying, where it's like, if they are truly like, if we're truly losing money on that agreement and we have a good relationship with this client, they don't want us to lose money. Like, so you have
Right.
to just talk to them. And that's when you just business owner to business owner at your meeting is just say, hey, here's the deal. This is a problem right now. And most business owners will understand. I would dare say every business owner should understand. Like if the service that you're paying for, they're saying, look, we're in the red on you guys. They're going to be like, oh, we don't want that. Like, we don't want you to go out of business.
Right.
It's this, yeah, because everybody wants a fair shake, right? And if you're in a relationship where the customer doesn't get that and wants to continue, to take advantage of you, then they're not a good customer.
Right.
Why would I want a customer that bleeds me dry?
But to your point, like if you're not having that conversation with them, if you don't have that open of a relationship where you're telling them this stuff, then that's on you,
At
Yeah.
the end of the day, right? It's crazy how many MSPs though you see that don't talk to their goddamn customers.
Mm-hmm.
You're losing money on this customer and you're trying to figure out ways to make more, you're trying to figure out these back office ways, oh, maybe we should change them to hourly. Well, maybe you pick up the phone.
Right.
It's solved in 30 seconds. Like, hey, I just want to remind, just saying, we have these agreements, right? And we love working with you. We think we're providing value. I think you'd agree. We're doing all the things and all this stuff. Hey, we're just having some scope creep a little bit here that I wanted to address with you. And I wanted to give you some options, right? Either we can't do these additional things that you're asking us to do, or we just expand the contract to account for those things. Which way would you like to go about it? I mean, I wouldn't even mention the fact that, I'm in the red with you or anything like that, because I don't even want them to feel guilty
Right.
at all that I'm suffering for this relationship. Like, I kind of feel like I need to talk to you about it first. And then if you're like, yeah, I like bleeding you dry. And I'm like, well, then you're an asshole. Get out of here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's talking I don't wonder how many things like in business just come down to talking, just communication.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, so and so's mad at me. Why do you think so and so's mad at me? Well, because they sent me this email. Okay. I mean, it's email, right? Did you call them and ask them if they're mad at you? Well, no. I could just, but look at their email. Just when I asked them if they wanted to go out to lunch, tomorrow, they just replied, "No, I can't." I'm like, so you're going to imply that they're mad at you because they just said, "No, I can't." Well, yeah, because it's fuck, just call them. You mean we've already wasted more time, me and you, talking about this and how you might think that they're mad at you, and you want me maybe to go ask if they're mad at you for you. I don't know what you're doing. Call them. And they call them like, "No, I can't because sorry, man, I couldn't because I got to go take my kid to the doctor." It's like, oh, so you're not mad at me? No, it's just a stupid
A
shit.
lot of time.
Oh man.
Yeah. Now I'm pissed off at you because I'm late taking my kids to
Yeah.
the
Now I'm
doctor.
pissed off at you because you thought I was pissed off at you. So now we got a problem.
Yeah.
A question, for a VCSO that wants to be good at pricing a recurring service or objective based. Any ideas on how to sharpen that skill? Like how do you how do you figure out? Because obviously, when you first do something, if you've never done it before, it's going to take more hours, and you probably have to be willing to bite that bullet, just to get some experience to get better at it. But any maybe practical tips on how to sharpen that pricing a project?
Yeah, for sure. Number one, don't overcomplicate it. People try to dial it in so much that well, what if this? What if that? What if this? No, keep it on objectives. So going into this agreement with a customer, if I've never worked with you before, and I don't know what additional things that you might give me along the path, but I do know that there are three things, let's say, three things that have to get done out of the gate for a VC. So number one, I need to do an assessment, a comprehensive information security risk assessment. Two, I need to build a roadmap. So it means work with you to make these risk decisions to figure out what you're going to do with the assessment. The number one complaint people have about assessments is they're useless. You told me all the things I did wrong, but you didn't give me anything to do with it. So one is the assessment, two is the roadmap, and three is just, monthly check-ins to see how you're doing on the roadmap, see if you need any additional assistance. But it's this coaching thing as along the way.
And all that, real quick, just step aside, like all that is fairly predictable stuff. Like
exactly, but that's what you have to start with.
Yeah. And so that could be a part of your monthly recurring.
Yes.
As
Yeah.
like, you
Yeah, so
know roughly pretty much how many hours you're going to put into a meeting and
well, right.
assessment.
So I take a small to mid-sized business. I estimate, all right, for me to do a risk assessment, I mean, it's one site, whatever. You figure it out. You think that your expenses for producing and delivering that assessment, let's say, for ease of math, is going to be $8,000. That's how much I think it's going to cost me, or say it's going to cost me $6,000. I build the margin in. I'm $8,000 is what I would charge the customer if I was going to do this as a project, right? And then the roadmap, let's say, I think it's probably going to take about this many hours. I'm not going to have a lot of people I need to talk to, $3,000. I'm going to charge them. And then for these monthly, coaching things, it's probably going to be like an hour, maybe a month, maybe a little bit more because I need to, prepare for that, whatever. Say that's going to be $1,000. Right. So you add all that up. Like these are all they're three projects, but they're three objectives. One objective is to get the risk assessment done. The next objective is to present it and build a roadmap. The third objective is to be there. It's the variable thing. So that total cost is $12,000, right? And the customer, we understand that this is going to be they want a VCSO service. So let's see, it's a 1-year contract, right? So $12,000, 1 year, it's going to cost you $1,000 a month for me to be your VCSO, get this assessment done, get the roadmap completed, and be there to help coach you. And I'll be, crystal clear and transparent with the customer. What this doesn't include is anything that you give me from the roadmap. There may be things from that roadmap that you want me to do as opposed to you doing or having somebody else do. That's not included. We can add that later if you want to, but the onus is on me to build that value with you. Like, you see how I work with the assessment, you see how I work with the roadmap, you see the value in giving me those additional deliverables. If you don't, no offense, I'm still here. Or maybe I'm more expensive, but we want to have this objectives all along because that's how we're going to measure our performance. So that's what I call the base vCISO.
Yeah.
You can call it whatever you want to. When you finish the roadmap, and because the part of the roadmap is what are we going to do, who's going to do it, and when. Who's going to do it, you might give it to me as your vCISO because I'm so good at my shit, right? I haven't totally given it to you, man. I don't care if it costs $1 billion because you're just really great. Whatever. So you take those things and then you go through the same process. All right, they want me to, build an incident response capability, right? Which means this. If I were to do it as a project, that would be this amount, whatever. Take those things from the roadmap, put them into projects. That's how much you would charge a customer if they wanted to do it by project. Instead, they'd prefer to build this into their vCISO practice and maybe extend the contract or stay within the 12-month period. It's up to them. And then you just break it down by the number of months that are left on the contract or the extended contract, and that now becomes your new monthly payment. But you've got everything based on objectives. So at the end of the year, when the contract comes up for renewal, or 2 years, however long the contract is, and the customer looks back and says, all right, we paid Evan $35,000 this year. What did we get for it? Everybody asks that. What did I get for the $35,000? Well, we built the incident response plan. We got a good risk assessment. He presented that risk assessment to management. Management's on board and understands what their risk level is. We got all this value for it. It then becomes a no-brainer to renew the contract for the next year on the same thing, right? But it's this relationship all along the way where nobody ever has to ask me, why are you here? What do I actually get for you? Whereas if you do it the hourly way, you can ask me that, Evan, we paid you $35,000 last year. Like, what did I get? Like, well, you got me.
You got hours.
Yeah.
But I don't want you.
Hey, Jordan, what would be kind of a good exercise is we could even create like a spreadsheet of just these line item things like Evan's describing foundationally. We know there needs to be an assessment. We know that as we're talking to them, roughly what they're expecting monthly, if it's an hour a month or whatever. And then there can be a spot if are things within the roadmap they want us, but we could create almost like a little estimator.
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, I've been trying to figure that out for myself recently. Like what I'm trying to build out what the offering would be. Here's the easy, not the easy, but the base. I mean, a lot of it's just inspired by what we learned in the course and stuff. So the base vCISO, just like you said, and then I'm trying to build out like what do I have in my holster as far as projects that I maybe I've never done them, but I've at least put the thought into how many hours that would take, how I would approach each of those projects.
Well, and the great thing about that too is by the time you get to the end of the roadmap and they're giving you projects that maybe you've never done before, they don't mind that. They already know that you've already had this conversation. I've never done this before, but yeah, I think I would kick ass on this. They already have the trust with you because you've already been there for a few months and they've already seen how you operate. They already enjoy working with you. You get those additional projects. I mean, you get so much more opportunity to get those additional projects. And if you're not sure on how you should price those additional projects, that's what the community's for. That's what I'm for. That's what Dave's for. That's what, our FR Secure partners, Better World Technology partners, our other partners, we can all help.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is there's so much damn business out there. None of us are interested in taking your customer. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't want that. Plus I didn't build all that trust and everything that you already built. You've got that, that, what do you call that? Political capital, that you've already invested in with that customer.
Mhm.
So you'll kick ass. But and then
Yeah,
you also
Jordan,
then
let's
expand your services. Now you know how to do shit that you haven't done before in a really low risk, low pressure environment. Because if you do it over a long period of time, when you do those projects as projects, like, right, you can do this one thing that you've never done before in a project, well, then all eyes are on that project. There's a lot more stress and pressure to do that.
That's kind of what I envision the mentorship program to be. It's like, someone like me trying to launch a business, and it's like this client needs us to stand up a incident response plan and program, and it's like, okay, I know theories about it, but I've never done it. Where's a mentor I can just bring them in? They can hold my hand through delivering this to
You
the
can call
client
me,
or building
Jordan.
it out. And
You can call me. Because I'm your friend too. I mean, it's not, friends love helping friends, man. It's never an imposition. It's never like, oh God, here's Jordan again. What the hell is it now? I mean, there are those friends, but they know that there's those friends, and that you're not one.
I just don't trust that you'd be at a client meeting with me and you'd fart and then blame me.
Of course I would do that.
Well, that's how you kind of build that. What did you call it? What I call relationship equity,
Political capital.
political capital. Yeah. Yeah. You're just making a withdrawal on that
Yeah.
when that happens. But Jordan, if you and I just take some time and workshop on that, it would be relatively straightforward to create an initial iteration of it, knowing that we can build it out from there, but it'll have you on a higher baseline than we're at today. And you'll be able to look at that because like we were saying, if we go back to it being objective or hourly and we say, well, we're taking it in the shorts, we'd be able to go back to that spreadsheet and say, where did the train go off the tracks?
Right.
And that's one of the things is people don't realize how much sweat equity and falling and getting back up that FR Secure has gone through in learning this, that somebody gets the opportunity almost through osmosis to be able to learn from that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big part of what we try and bring through the community and the course.
Yeah. And that's crazy because it's so non-conventional to do business that way. But the truth of the matter is you'll get to a point where the hardest part of the business to scale is people. You can't hire people fast enough to do the work.
Right.
And when you're starting out, you think like that, "Oh, I would love to have that problem." Well, it's just, when you're here, it's not, you don't love to have any problems, really. I mean, they're just continual things that you need to solve. But we've got an industry with a total addressable market, just for vCISO services of, I don't know, anywhere between 3 to 8 million organizations in the United States. FR Secure being as successful as we are, and knowing, like, I like how you put it, Dave, the sweat equity. We've been through this enough times. There's not a better way to do it that we know of, but we need to be open and honest that we know of, right? So there's like a two-way street here. One is, let's help more small companies, or companies that are established to want to build this service this total addressable market better. We're not losing anything. And then come together and help us refine what it is that we're doing, because once you stop sort of innovating, your business will end up dying. I
Right.
mean, you can't rest on it. So yeah, I love seeing people have success. I wish they weren't so bullheaded and stubborn and think that, because you see it over and over and over again. Well, we're going to do it this way. It's like, all right, go ahead. It's like my 20-year-old daughter. Okay, go ahead. I know where this goes.
Mm-hmm.
I know where this goes. I know where, but all right, I'll be here. I won't be upset by it, but you'll find that the best way to do vCISO services is truly objectives based. It's in the best interest of the customer. The customer knows it, you know it, which just solidifies the relationship. Takes a little bit more work up front, but it's more predictable. It's healthier for your business. It's healthier for your bottom line. There's really no, you know, objective reason why you wouldn't go down that path. And you'll have, yeah, you'll run into all kinds of like, ooh, they're asking me to do this thing that I've never done before. How do I build that out? That's when you know, go to your network, go to your friends, go to your mentors and ask, hey, any of you guys ever built an incident response, capability before? Yeah, I have. Well, tell me, can you help me out? You'll have lots of volunteers that would love to help you.
Yeah. You made we talked about this before the show and you touched on it, but like being honest with your client that I've never done this before, but I'm sure I can try and learn and get it done and bring people in that can help.
Yep. Yeah, I've gotten so
Yeah.
many projects with that. I did a project once. It was for FDA validation, for a drug company. And but we had a relationship and we had done projects together, and they're like, hey, you used to work in pharma, because that's, I was a CISO for a pharmaceutical, but if you know how FDA stuff works, it's separate from information security. It's its own thing, right? And so they asked, hey, can you do FDA regulation, FDA validation for our systems? And I'm like, I could learn it. I'd be happy to learn it, I think, but if you want, I can do it, I think, and I'll have to, do some research. And like, yeah, if you could. Then he came back. I'm like, all right, I would do it, but I've never done it before. So, I mean, it kind of depends on how much wiggle room you got, like who's going to be asking for this FDA validation. If they're going to not cut you any slack, then maybe you don't want to fuck around with me, even if you like me. You know what I mean? You want to keep this tight. But if you think you got some wiggle room on the people that are asking to see your FDA regulation-y things, yeah, I'll do my best. And so they did choose me, and it was a hell of a project. I will never, ever do it again.
Did you do it all yourself or did you bring in some people?
It was a lot, and there was no damn AI to help me. Yeah, I learned a lot, and I would have never known what it is or if I liked it or not without doing it. So I appreciate that opportunity to do that. And now I know, because once people had heard that I'd done that, then people are like, oh, can you do mine? No. I mean, I can, but no, I'm not going to do yours.
Yeah. Now I know why I want to
Yeah.
say no to
But it
you.
makes you a better professional too. If you don't step out there a little bit more, get uncomfortable. Comfort's an idol. Uncomfort in this way, it's a growth opportunity. There's so much reward for it beyond just dollars and cents. I think with all those times you've stepped into the void of like, I've never done this before. I really don't want to do this. What if I get called out? I mean, your brain will go through all kinds of things and try to convince you not to do, at the end of the day, what's probably best for you anyway. And then, yeah, it makes me sad that people don't step into that and it's almost like start looking for excuses. Like, yeah, I've never done it before. The customer won't hire me. I mean, that you just like do it, go for it. And just do it with honesty and transparency and integrity. And you'll find that maybe you just found a new niche for yourself that you love it. And had you not taken that initial first step, again, in honesty, transparency, and integrity, you would have never even known this thing existed.
Yeah. And I really hope that, people learn to, I think the power of this community, the CvCISO community and where that's going, like, I think, hopefully that can give people the courage. It's like you've got it. You got this powerful team of people behind you, this community of people. And yeah, there's going to be a formalized mentor piece of it, which I think is going to be great. But also there's just a community of people that are willing to help. I mean, just even you and that attitude that you have is reflected in all the people in the community. I mean, I don't think I've met many that where like that attitude isn't prevalent, where they're like, hey, you need some help? I'll hop on a call with you. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and hopefully we're sharing wisdom too. I was in my talk yesterday, it was, yeah, I've said it before. The only way you get wisdom is through painful experiences or, somebody shares it with you. And there's a lot of wisdom in the community that we can share with each other and save each other from the pain. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, even though there's somebody in the community may come up to me and want to, ask my assistance on a project I've never done before, I can share the wisdom of how to do the project I've never done before, because I've done that, even though I've never done your project that you're talking about right now. So there's just a lot of wisdom, and then you get this support. Like, I talk about borrowing somebody else's credibility. There's a huge amount of power in doing that. So where you may lack credibility, there are people in the community that are extremely credible that you can borrow their credibility.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And you can be honest and transparent with that. I've never done this before. However, I know, 20 people in my personal mentor group or whatever who have done it. And that's why I plan on leveraging, but you don't have to pay for that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to open up a door to some real experts that are going to help us do this project, just so you know what's happening on the back end, because I want you to be transparent on that. So I'm going to put everything I got into creating the best damn product that you can get, even though I've never done this before.
Yeah, and hopefully people see that value, not just to get the CvCISO certification and do the courses, but to actually be active in the community, to invest in the community. I know folks that have kind of gone silent in the community since and aren't participating, and I'm thinking, man, why? Like invest in this community, because I see a whole lot of potential in the value of having us band together.
Yeah, dude, just to share with you, the current cohort wrapped up Wednesday of this week. So on Tuesday night, I hopped on with Glenn just to kind of do almost an ask me anything sort of thing with the students that were there. And one of the gals taking the course is newerish into her career. So she's looking for leadership kind of, or those people. And she honestly didn't know where to start. And just through how we are through the community, I turned around on LinkedIn and made some introductions to people, because I told them, I said, look, there's a lot of people that help me get to fortunately where I'm at. And they took the time. So it's important for me to play it forward. And she really didn't know anybody. How do I get started? And I was just able to shoot out some introductions to other
Right.
people. And those led to, okay, let's set up a Zoom call. I'm here for you. And the recipient of that didn't realize that bridge is there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just simply through the community of who knows who in trying to be able to play it forward. And there's just some beautiful things that come from that, because now she's experiencing that, and those people know people. So there's just a real good camaraderie throughout all of it. And yeah.
That's cool. Hey, Jordan, you got to jump for a meeting.
Yep, I just started, so
Okay.
I guess
Okay.
that's a wrap.
Great
That,
episode.
yeah.
Good talking.
Yeah, good. Thanks, guys. Always a pleasure.
All right, I'm going to go fart.
See you guys.
See ya.